everyone. Hi, I'm still here. I'm still kicking on YouTube for now, it seems. And we have some indie comic news. Ooh, fun stuff. I briefly mentioned it on Twitter. I made a post about this, but I figured it probably deserves its own video since it's pretty big news and everyone wants to give their own 2 cents on the whole thing. Eric July, another YouTuber primarily known for focusing on geek-type media, comics, video games, TV shows, and stuff like that, has officially launched his own comic book campaign, but with a little twist. It's on his own website, not on Indiegogo, not on Kickstarter. He launched it completely independent, with no hosts, with his own money, and it's supposed to be the start of what he calls the Rippaverse. Now, at this point in my life, I'm kind of repelled by anything that has verse in it, just because I'm kind of sick of all the multiverses. But his selling point when it comes to the Rippaverse is this idea that DC and Marvel's universes are all over the place, lacking consistency, almost constantly being rebooted and rebranded to different audiences. So he wants to create his own superhero universe that's not going to fail when it comes to quality. And not only is that including, consistencies and not rebooting, or when they do reboot, keeping it to minimum changes, that's also including the political stuff that has been entering Marvel and DC, which has been a very hot topic for a while now, and I'm sure he appeased a lot of audiences by also bringing this up. Eric July's YouTube channel in general never really shied away from politics. He's very open about that type of stuff when he's on his YouTube channel. And I gotta say, I think it was pretty smart how he handled doing his own comic campaign. Very ambitious to want to do a whole entire superhero universe. But I respect it. I do. He spent years cultivating his own audience, while there are a lot of people out there who were starting off with their own comic ideas and then trying to get into the YouTube gang because they know that YouTube is a good place to cultivate their audience, but a lot of people were very anxious, trying to, get an audience very quickly, while as he was kind of holding off on it, waiting to polish this up, waiting to get his own website, have multiple ideas that all connect to one universe. And not only has ISOM #1 raised its goal, it's raised much higher than its goal. Currently at 1.5 million as of this time of recording, and this is only within the first 3 days? That is crazy successful for any comic campaign, and this is on his own website. He's not using a host in order to run this campaign. So this is another milestone when it comes to independently raised comics. And I think it's a moment in history that people should be taking note of, especially if you are an aspiring indie creator yourself. And watching his short video where he's talking about the Rippaverse, I can see why it appealed to so many people who wanted to give it a try. Even if they're not that interested in this specific superhero that he's campaigning for, they respect what he's trying to do and can relate to that idea of DC and Marvel failing as far as quality goes. It's a topic often talked about, and a lot of people like to brush these critics off as not being true fans or not knowing what they're talking about. And I think when you're brushing off your own critics, you kind of leave yourself open for competition taking advantage of that. Where there is a problem, someone else is going to swoop in with a solution, which has been the basis of a lot of these comic campaigns. This idea that they're striving to create something of high quality, whereas the big publishers are not really bothered by creating something of less quality now, because it's more about quantity that they're pushing out and less about how good it actually is. Now, don't get me wrong, it could very well be a one-trick pony. It could be just like a booming success on the first issue because he's selling it on that point of, I want to create a superhero universe with solid quality. But at the end of the day, if people don't like the story, they won't come back for a second issue. You have to prove yourself on that first issue, and I would hope that throughout the years of cultivating this audience, he's also been polishing his work and making sure that it's something that they will enjoy. Now, indie creators have been applauding this success, as they should, because it's kind of like a glimmer of hope for themselves as well. It shows that people are interested in indie creators, despite a lot of indie comic creators having difficulty actually getting their big break. But on the flip side, there's also going to be people who are in the comic industry who aren't nearly as supportive of indie creators, bashing the big companies. And as I've already said before, Eric July does not shy away from his own opinions on politics. Someone posted his promo trailer onto the comic books Reddit and actually banned them. The reason for the ban was more simply because Eric July's stance on diversity in comics was that there's a lot of forced diversity in comics, which is a belief that the subreddit is not very accepting of. And on Twitter, I know, a cesspool of people in general, Rich Johnson, founder of Bleeding Cool, wrote, "Mark Miller should have thought of starting his own crowdfunding site. Kick Miller, or Miller Go-Go, that took donations for his projects, reported a total, but didn't list individual donations. Just see if perceived success breeds actual success without any accountability," implying that he's faking his backer numbers and faking how much that he's actually raised. I will say, as far as this complaint goes, that's not really something unique to having your own crowdfunding site. You can just as easily fiddle with the numbers on Kickstarter and Indiegogo as well. People have even noted when that's happened. Obviously, you can donate money to yourself on Indiegogo to make it seem like you're reaching your goal faster. And people will often point out when a project has only 4 backers but somehow has raised $5,000. That is a very synthetic way of trying to show your campaign as being successful. And I guess the hope of that is that if people already on Indiegogo see that a project is popular, they will also want to get it. Kind of a fake it till you make it mindset. But I do have trouble believing that he's donating $1.5 million to himself. I believe he claimed that he had 20,000 people on the mailing list alone, so it's not too surprising that he would get 17,000 backers. But I do think it's normal whenever an independent creator, bashes on the big comic book industry and then launches their own campaign that turns out to be wildly successful. A lot of people like to downplay that. Like, oh no, you can't do your own thing. You have to work for the big companies. You have to get into the industry the normal way. But what do you make of all this? What do you think of the Rippaverse? Are you getting this comic yourself? Let me know down below in the comments section. Thank you guys for joining me on this edition of Comic News. Woo! I'll see you guys next time. Till then, bye! Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed the video. Come here, I got something I want to talk to you about. So a lot of you are subscribed to the channel because you like hearing about different comics and manga. Well, not too long ago, I started my own website, learningstarcomics.net, where I'm posting my own comics, along with some comics made by my friends. The goal is to eventually hit every genre, every age group, so that everyone can find what they need on this website. We'll also be campaigning to have some comics printed, which you can always tell if we have a campaign going by checking the description of the videos. So I do hope that you keep an eye on Burning Star Comics and future projects that we have going for it. And if you would like to support it more directly, you can always join the fan club where you can actually get sneak peeks of future comics along with reading some pages before anybody else. So thank you for your support. I'll keep you updated.
Program restart.